Authorities have released new flyers seeking any information on the whereabouts of 2 Ohio women. Now, they're also looking for any information on the deaths of 4 other women in Chillicothe. Residents fear a serial killer might be on the loose. Meanwhile, the FBI has been called in to investigate. Pat Brown is a criminal profiler and author of The Profiler: My Life Hunting Serial Killers and Psychopaths. Pat, thanks for being here. And this has been playing out over the past 16 months. The only links between the victims that police say they have is their alleged lifestyles, which they were involved with drug use, some prostitution. So what other clues would investigators be looking for to find a possible suspect or suspects?
Well, Thomas, the biggest problem is is this actually a serial killer? And a lot of times police don't want to admit to a serial killer unless there's something absolutely linking them, like DNA linking the victims, DNA from the suspect. And then they say, oh, look, there's 3 women with the same DNA from the same suspect. Well, obviously that's a serial killer. Or if you remember Long Island, when you start finding women's bodies all on the same side of the road, on one road, then you got to say a serial killer is dumping all these bodies here. This can't be like 6 different bad boyfriends all going, hey, what a great spot to dump women. You know, you've got those are the connections. The problem they're having here is that they're not quite sure they're connected, and even though it's suspicious, they don't have a lot to say that's exactly going to be one person. We have women who are involved in drugs, so there could be other reasons for them ending up dead. They could be because they did a drug overdose. It could be because they overdosed at somebody's house, and then that person goes, oh my God, she's dead on my living room floor, and I gave her the drugs, so let me wrap her up and dump her someplace. So that's not a serial killer. It's a person who's afraid of getting arrested for giving that person.
So what kind of profile do they need to start building then, Pat, to figure out the difference between what could be drug-related deaths or actually somebody or some people of concern?
Yeah, well, first of all, they got to find out why these women died. That's obviously they got to have, what is the cause of death? Secondly, do they have something in common besides the fact they use drugs and may have been involved in prostitution? In other words, one of the things that happens when you have prostitutes who do end up victims of serial killers is they have the guys coming along, the Johns are coming along, and they're picking the ladies up, and most of the time the ladies are coming back alive. So let's say there's a John that's named George, so George picks up Mary, and Mary comes back alive. George picks up Nancy, and she comes back alive. And then George picks up another girl. Nobody sees him do it. He kills her. And then all of a sudden, nobody realizes it's George, because George has always been with the ladies, and the ladies have always come back alive, except they didn't see him take that one girl. So that's how come they don't even suspect him. And the same thing would be true for taxi drivers or drug dealers. Same thing. We all know these guys, and we're not aware that once in a while he may be killing somebody.
Criminal profiler Pat Brown. Once again, the book that Pat has out, The Profiler: My Life Hunting Serial Killers and Psychopaths. Pat, thanks again for joining me.
Thanks, Thomas.